and then went straight to Golden, and looks like we will be talking about that this coming on up here in the next few minutes, as we will be looking at, again, President Joe Biden. He is now walking up to the podium, so it looks like we'll be getting the speech here in just a few minutes' time. Biden is expected to address specifically the Build Back Better agenda, the bipartisan infrastructure deal that was reached just last month, and specifically because Biden is at NREL, expect him to focus on investments in clean energy and how those can combat climate change and also create union good-paying jobs. That's how the Biden administration is obviously kind of selling it at this point. As you can see, President Joe Biden
to the National Renewable Energy
workers there, and it looks like he's getting ready to speak in just a few moments' time, getting a round of applause there. As again, Biden's been at NREL for about an hour or so. And by the way, this marks almost 10 years to the date, his second visit to NREL. He previously visited NREL back in May of 2011 when he was vice president, of course, under Barack Obama. By the way, Obama actually visited NREL as well back in 2009. So certainly in recent years, NREL has been a popular spot for Democratic, I suppose, presidents. As you can see, it looks like Colorado Governor Jared Polis is giving some remarks right now. And you can see behind there on the top right-hand side of your screen, that is the Build Back Better truck or signature there, and that is again in reference to the $1.2 trillion infrastructure deal that was reached again just last month and passed the Senate. Now has to go to the House of Representatives before President Joe Biden can sign it into law, and it's expected to face a fair bit of contention. So Biden basically stumping for the infrastructure bill at this point. Again, Governor Jared Polis giving some remarks before Biden is expected to take the stage and discuss some of those potential achievements from the Build Back Better agenda. And again, specifically, it's going to be probably a lot of clean energy focus and how it can combat climate change, while again keeping those jobs or adding some jobs as well, while helping Biden's goal of eliminating pollution from fossil fuels by 2035 and entirely from the U.S. economy by 2050. Those are some targets that Biden had tried to kind of specify earlier on in his tenure. This, by the way, will culminate a 2-day West Coast visit from President Biden. Yesterday, he was in Boise, Idaho, and Sacramento, California. Two reasons. The main reason he was out there yesterday was for wildfire kind of assessments. There's been obviously some very big fires. You've seen a lot of the smoke from those fires here in Colorado throughout much of this summer, and that the origination of those fires on the West Coast. That's why Biden was in California and in Idaho yesterday, was seeing some of the damage from those. So that's been a big part of it. And again, Biden will return to Washington, D.C. tonight after this speech. He'll go straight to Denver National Airport. He's expected to leave around 5:10 p.m. And Biden expected to take the stage now. So let's go out to the podium. Again, President Joe Biden expected to give some remarks here on the Build Back Better agenda. Right now, it is Governor Jared Polis who is giving some remarks. So again, we'll go out to the podium here and hear from Governor Polis and President Biden.
The CEO and Chairman of Xcel Energy.
Well, thank you, Governor, and thanks for making Colorado a leader in clean energy innovation. And it's really an honor to be here today to welcome President Biden to NREL. I'm also pretty excited to talk a little bit about the Xcel Energy story. 2018, we became the first utility in the nation to announce a goal to be carbon-free by 2050. And I'm proud to say that our leadership has been followed. More than 20 utility companies now have similar goals. We're really building on a great platform. You know, since 2005, we've already reduced carbon emissions by over 50%. And as the governor mentioned, we're well on our way to achieve that 80% carbon reduction across all of our 8 states that we serve by 2030. So we're excited about that because we're going to keep our product affordable and reliable. And that means that we can support decarbonization of other business sectors like transport. In fact, just last week here in Colorado, we announced 3 programs that will help get even more EVs on the road. So, Governor mentioned it, but renewable energy across our 8 states is a big part of how we are reducing our carbon emissions. In fact, we're blessed with great wind and solar in the 8 states we serve, It'll allow us to have 2/3 of our energy by 2030 coming from wind and solar, 80% wind and solar here in Colorado. So we're excited about that, but we all know that the big grid can't just run on renewables. We do need backup generation to make sure that our customers have safe, reliable, affordable energy. And that's why it's so great to be here at NREL, because I think NREL will have a big part in developing those technologies that will allow us to reach that 2050 goal of being carbon-free. Of course, sound policy is important too. And the President, his administration, and Congress are working on a suite of policies that I think have the potential to really accelerate that clean energy transition. And I can tell you, as a company and as an industry, we want to go absolutely as fast as we can, but we don't want to leave anybody behind. We don't want to leave our employees and communities behind. And that's why we've partnered with our largest labor union, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the IBEW. And that partnership's critical today as Congress considers these energy policies, and it's critical tomorrow as we continue to move away from coal and embrace those clean, carbon-free technologies. So I know our industry, our company, and our workforce is ready for the challenge, and I'm excited to see what we can do working together. And with that, I want to invite Julian Aguilar to come to the stage and make some comments. Julian?
So yesterday I got a phone call, and it was from my business manager, Jeremy Ross. And he said, hey, do you want to introduce the president tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, I'll introduce Morgan Buchanan, Local 68's president, at some function, you know? And he said, no, Joe Biden, President of the United States. And I was like, whoa, like, for real? Me? Yeah, I'm down. I'm in. Let's do it. I don't know when else I'd have this opportunity. And I know just now I met Joe Biden for the first time in my life, but I feel like he's had my back for years. My name is Julian Aguilar, and I am a proud member of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Locals number 68. My father and two cousins are also members of Local 68. My mother was a Teamster for the union at the city of Denver, Colorado, and she retired until she retired in 2019. My grandfather and uncle were both members of the Iron Workers Local 24. My grandfather was also the president of Local 24. You can say union is in my blood. Being here at NREL shows the future of our industry, renewable and sustainable energy. Smart grids, wind farms, and solar farms are just a few examples here in our great state of Colorado. When you see all these new technologies, you might think that the future doesn't look much like the past. But one thing the past and the future will have in common is they will be built by unions. My 16-month-old son, Cristiano, is right over there. I see you, buddy. And he's there with my wife, Salome. And I want him to inherit a better and more sustainable future. I know that that's the future the President, Joe Biden, and my IBEW brothers and sisters are working hard to build every single day. President Joe Biden is not just pro-union, he's pro-people, and he's pro-America. Please join me in welcoming the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden.
Thank you very much, Julian. Governor, and I want to thank you as well for all you do. You know, and the IBEW is one of the outfits that, as they say in Claymont, Delaware, that brung me to the dance. And they're the best in the world, and really great seeing you all working together. Dr. Keller and the NREL team, thanks for welcoming me here. And Governor, it's good to see you again and your whole team. Lieutenant Governor Primavera, Attorney General, Secretary of State. You know, you got the Mayor Hancock. I think he's here. He was here. I thought I saw him earlier today. I want to thank you for the welcome to Denver and for making the trip out here. And my friends in Congress, Chairman Baker, thank you for being here. My team, we have the Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, who I always say, were she born in America and not Canada, she'd be standing here as president. But she's doing a heck of a job for me and for the country. And a proud electric car driver as well. And also the former secretary and former mayor of Denver, Federico Pena, a good friend of mine who's here. There you go, friend. Good to see you, pal. While I couldn't be here, I wanted to mention that the senator and my nominee for ambassador to Mexico is Ken Salazar. And I'm glad to see Congressman Perlmutter and Nuggies and Crow. I want to thank you all. You have other places to be, I know. And 3 good friends who wanted to be here in Washington today right now. You know, there's a lot. Senator Bennett and Hickenlooper and Congressman DeGette, they're all in Washington doing what they have to do. When you look at who you've heard from, it's clear. Whether you're an engineer or at a lab bench, or an IBW worker working on a combine, a turbine. When you work for a power company or a small construction business, everyone has a role to play, and everyone is building a clean energy future and a stronger economy, because that's what it's about. And we need everyone's contributions. We need everyone's contributions. Yesterday, I saw firsthand the devastation of the Caldor fire in California as we flew over in a helicopter. And the last 2 weeks, I traveled to Louisiana, New York, and New Jersey, see the destruction from Hurricane Ida. More people killed in New York with flooding, 20 inches of rain, and what's happened up there, than were killed when 178-mile-an-hour winds hit Louisiana. Extreme weather, we're seeing, is only going to come more frequently and with more ferocity. And we're blinking code red as a nation, and we really are. So far this year, nationwide, there are 44,000 wildfires that have burned nearly 5.6 million acres. That's enough. That's the size of the entire state of New Jersey, burned flat. They've caused billions of dollars in damage and forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate their homes and businesses. And even if it's not in your backyard, you feel the effects, as you mentioned earlier. You turn on the local weather, in addition to telling what the temperature is and what the precipitation will be, you want to know what the smoke forecast is going to be. When parents fear letting their kids out to play outside, it may trigger an asthma attack. You saw the vicious cycle this summer when heavy rains combined with the burn scar of 2020 Grizzly Creek fire. It resulted in mudslides, as was pointed out, that washed out an entire section of Interstate 70, adding hours of people's drives and cutting off a vital commercial artery. The bottom line is it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Communities that nearly 1 in 3 Americans call home have been struck by weather disasters in just the past few months. Hurricanes in the Gulf Coast are up this eastern seaboard. Wildfires threatening throughout the West and tearing it apart. Droughts and heat waves across the country, devastating farmers and ranchers and draining the Colorado River. In addition to the lost lives shattered, extreme weather cost America last year $99 billion. $99 billion extreme weather cost last year. And it's going to break the record this year. It's going to be well over $100 billion. We know what the driver is, climate change. We know what's causing climate change, human activity. This is no longer subject to debate. And I might add, windmills do not cause cancer. You know, look, we got to get real about what's going on. I really mean it. Think about it. The only debate is around what we do to confront this crisis. And that shouldn't even be a debate. You know, we have to invest in being more resilient because of the impacts of climate. The climate change is current today, not next year, not 10 years from now. We have to make the investments that are going to slow our contributions to climate change today, not tomorrow. And here's the good news. Something that is caused by humans can be solved by humans. I've set a course for the United States to achieve 50 to 52% reduction in greenhouse emissions by 2030. And for us to reach that net zero emissions in the economy, all economy-wide, across the board, by 2050. As part of that, I set a goal of having our country produce 100% carbon pollution-free power by 2035. We can do that. We can do all of this in a way that creates good jobs, lowers cost to consumers and businesses, and makes us global leaders in an entirely new industry that other countries are really working hard to try to dominate. I just toured the Renewable Energy Lab, which I haven't been here, not the same lab, but I haven't been here since 2011, which was started under President Carter and expanded under President Bush, H.W. Bush. Leaders of both parties have recognized that clean energy future is an economic imperative, and a national security imperative, and an environmental imperative. That's why my Build Back Better plan calls for significant new investments in upgrading research infrastructures, laboratories all across the country. We'll be making one of those breakthroughs in solar, wind, and storage out of these facilities. Out-innovate the rest of the world and drive down the cost of renewable energy. Of course, we have to invest in the future. We need to deploy cutting-edge technologies. And we have to employ them today, not tomorrow. I had a chance to see the state-of-the-art wind turbine testing and new battery technologies. Because of the years of work that have taken place here, and these technologies aren't science fiction. They're ready to be installed and scaled up across the country right now by union members like the ones we heard from today. And that's what we're going to do. You know, as we just heard from the CEO of Xcel Energy, they've set a goal of producing 100% carbon emission-free power. They were the first major utility to set that goal. And today, over 20 large facilities around the nation have set a similar goal. You led the way. Today, one of every 3 Americans lives in a city or a state transitioning to clean energy electricity. But folks, we have to pick up the pace. When I rejoined the Paris Climate Accord after we had been pulled out of it, the goal set when our last administration, the Obama-Biden administration, when that was set, they were set that we had more time. We don't have the time now. The goals are different because the necessity is there. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have much more than 10 years, for real. And this is a decisive decade. Already the price of solar generation in this country has dropped 80% over the past decade. 80%. The price of a wind turbine generation has dropped 55%. A lot is because of the investments we made in the Recovery Act back when I was vice president. And today, renewables are now cheaper than fossil fuels in many parts of the country. Now we need to take the next step of continuing to drive prices down and job creation up. Because those renewable goals create demand for more wind turbines and more installations, solar installations, which means good jobs for workers like Julian and his union brothers and sisters. And you can see why I think that climate change, when I think of it, I think jobs. I had a meeting with over 140 heads of state on the Zoom that we hosted out of the White House. And one of the things by the time I finished, everyone was talking about jobs. It's not about costing jobs. Initially, as you remember, even you guys, I spent a lot of time before I announced my plan meeting with all the unions to convince you all that this is the future. These are where the jobs are. When I say jobs, I'm not talking about $15 an hour. I'm not talking, am I not speaking loudly enough? I can see you having trouble hearing me back there. You know, I'm talking about union jobs, not 15, 20 bucks an hour, 45, 50 bucks an hour, benefits. That's going to grow the country too. I've never seen the wealthy do poorly when the middle class does well. That's never happened. So to accelerate that process, we need to invest and innovate. We need a modern electric grid, one that is much higher capacity, more resilient transmission wires, and, you know, and has more storage capacity. using advanced batteries so we can hold onto surplus energy generated when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing. Right now, it's going to rain. No. Right now, we've got transmission projects that could carry enough power for millions of homes, but they need catalytic investment to move to the construction phase. Our bipartisan infrastructure bill contains the largest federal investment in power transmission in our history, so that our grid is more reliable, we can carry more renewable energy, so we can create good union jobs building that new grid. We're also making dramatic investments in public transit, electric buses, charging stations. In Denver, we're going to help Mayor Hancock achieve his goal of reducing greenhouse gases in the city by 80%. It's going to create jobs. We know the local 68 Apprentice Center is busy training workers to be able to perform. And by the way, I'm bringing the automakers, including the big three, and the UAW along so we have more electric vehicles on the road and fewer tailpipe emissions in the air. We're going to cap thousands of abandoned oil wells and gas wells leaking methane, threatening public health and communities, and get paid the same price for capping them as was to dig them. We're going to provide support to make our communities, including tribal nations, much more resilient to the impacts of climate change. Every dollar we invest to flood-proof or a power station, install power lines underground, winterize a power plant, or to build advanced turbines like the ones here, every dollar we spend saves $6 down the road, because the next time a disaster strikes, flooding is contained, the fire doesn't spread as widely, the power stays on. And these investments can also save lives, save homes, and create good-paying jobs for Americans to make our country stronger and more resilient. In fact, experts tell us that the bipartisan agreement we've reached in the American Infrastructure Bill will put 800,000 people to work. 800,000, including plumbers, pipe fitters, electrical workers, steel workers, modernizing roads, bridges, water systems, broadband systems, making high-speed internet available to 85,000 Coloradans who currently don't have it. That's what's in the infrastructure bill. That's already agreed to. And we're negotiating right now for my plan to Build Back Better, which includes additional action to address climate crisis. It includes tax credits that will effectively cut the cost of building utility-scale solar farms by 30%, shorten the time it takes for residential-scale solar systems to pay for themselves in around 8 years, instead of 8, in less than 5 years. Save consumers $1,250 for an electric vehicle like a Ford F-150. By the way, 0 to 60 in 4.1. That's a different. Help us reach the goal of half the new cars sold in America will be electric by 2030, saving billions of gallons of gasoline. And I want to create a civilian climate corps. I've been pushing that for a long time. Similar to the Conservation Corps that President Roosevelt created during the Great Depression, put a new generation of Americans to work, helping us connect and conserve our public lands and become resilient in the process. Yesterday, I visited the National Interagency Fire Center in Idaho, where we coordinate our federal fire response to wildfires. They told me that the Civilian Climate Corps would make an enormous difference by cleaning away combustible underbrush, enable fires to spread, by planting trees to fight climate change. In the end, it's not about red states or blue states. A drought or a fire doesn't see a property line. It doesn't give a damn for which party you belong to. Disasters aren't going to stop. That's the nature of the climate threat. But we know what we have to do. We just need to summon the courage and the creativity to do it. Yes, we face a crisis, but we face a crisis with an unprecedented opportunity to create good jobs of the future, create industries of the future, to win the future, to save the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do this. This is the United States of America. There has never been a problem we faced when we set our mind to deal with it we haven't been able to. I mean it literally. Never have we failed to meet an objective we set. And what's happening now with both the industry, the government, unions, people around the country, is that we've set a goal. And the goal is achievable. And I promise you, it's going to create great economic growth, reduce inflation, and put people in a place where those beautiful children in the back are never going to have to worry about what we're worrying about right now. So thank you. Remember, there's not a damn thing we're unable to do in America when we come together. Never, ever have we failed. And we're not going to fail now because of all of you. Thank you for everything. Thanks, everybody. I really mean it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna get straight down, sir. Sir, straight down, a couple cars down to the right.